Welcome, and thank you for joining the AI Adoption Lab. My name is Eunice Pinedo. I've spent over 25 years helping organizations navigate change, build resilient teams, and strengthen leadership at every level. I've worked alongside Fortune 50 companies, global leaders, and also mission-driven organizations. No matter what the setting, I've seen the same truth. New tools don't create change by themselves. Real transformation happens when people, with all of our hopes, hesitations, and doubts, find clarity, trust, and the confidence to move forward. And that's why we're here today. This isn't just about AI as a technology. It's about you, how you adapt, how you lead yourself and others, and how you stay centered when the world around you feels uncertain. This session is a lab, a place to explore, and my favorite thing, a place to reflect. You may feel excited about AI, or you may feel resistant, even skeptical. Regardless, you're welcome and you will find value in the time that we spend together. To help guide you, I've created a toolkit, a space where you can capture your reflections, your insights, and determine your next steps as we move through today's session. Keep it close. I will let you know when you can use it. You're going to walk away with practical ways to navigate disruption. So instead of feeling stuck or feeling left behind, you'll see how change can become a spark for growth, innovation, and new opportunities. So let's dive in. Let's start with a reality check. 79% of leaders expect AI to disrupt their industry in the next few years, but only 23% feel ready to lead through it. That's coming from Deloitte's 2024 survey. And ProSci tells us that 70% of failed change efforts don't fail because of technology. They fail because of people. That's our real challenge, and one that we can control. The pace of technology is racing ahead, but alignment, trust, and readiness are lagging behind. Today isn't about which AI tool you should buy. It's about how you as a leader show up, how you model clarity, create safety, and guide people when the ground feels uncertain. If you've got your toolkit nearby, go ahead and open it. You'll see that it's organized around 5 moments that matter in AI adoption. We're going to walk through one by one, and you'll have the space to capture what resonates for most of you. Before we go deeper, let's pause and take a quick pulse check. Where are you personally in your relationship with AI at work? Maybe you're a trailblazer, experimenting and eager to lead, or you are pragmatic, testing the tools where they make sense, but staying grounded in reality. Perhaps you feel overwhelmed. You know that it matters, but the pace and pressure just feel way too much. Or maybe you're skeptical, not convinced that it's necessary yet. And lastly, you could also be disengaged, not at all engaged with this change, and actually not quite sure whether you want to be or not. There's no right or wrong answer here. People adopt AI one mindset at a time, not as a group. And knowing where you stand is the first step to leading others. Take a moment to reflect on which one feels most like you. If you'd like, jot it down in the margin of your notes or simply hold it in your mind as we continue. And here is why this matters. Cisco found that 75% of organizations believe that they have less than 18 months before AI disruption affects them. And I believe this was from a year ago in 2024. At the same time, Microsoft reported that 75% of knowledge workers are already using AI. Almost half of them having started in just the last 6 months. So AI adoption is happening. The gap really isn't the usage. The gap is the clarity, the trust, and the leadership. That's where you come in, which brings us to the next question. Why is AI different from every wave of technology we've seen before? We have lived through big shifts in the past. The agricultural age gave way to industry. The Industrial Revolution automated physical effort. And electricity didn't just power machines, it transformed how we lived and how we worked. The internet then connected people and systems across the globe. But AI is different. It doesn't just automate labor or connect information, it simulates thought. It reasons, it writes, it advises, and it decides. That's why the Brookings Institution described it in this way. If Gutenberg's press freed ideas, AI accelerates their analysis. This is not just another digital transformation. It's not about faster workflows or better systems. AI changes how we think, how we decide, and how we define value, or it has the capability and the potential to do so. And that means that the real question isn't about just adoption. It's about leadership. It's about how we lead when machines can think with us. And that's exactly where we're heading next. We're not just dealing with a tech rollout. We are leading through a human reset. And that leadership mandate comes down to three things. First, redefining roles. AI is already writing, designing, analyzing the kinds of works that we once thought were safe. That's not a threat, it's actually an invitation. It's an invitation to ask, what is uniquely human about our contribution? Second, rebuilding trust. When people don't understand how AI fits into their role, or when the decisions feel opaque, trust begins to crack. Leaders need to be transparent, to invite conversation, and to create space for the fears and the questions that people are holding back. And third, reskilling for human advantage. This isn't just learning a prompt trick or a new tool. It's about doubling down on what AI cannot replicate. Judgment, ethics, adaptability, creativity, connection. This isn't about adoption for adoption's sake. It's about belonging, empowerment, and strategic reinvention. And that's why the way we lead matters more than the tool itself. When people go through change, they don't think in project phases or in timelines. They think in the moments that they're living. A moment of clarity when something finally clicks, a moment of hesitation where they wonder if they're ready, a moment of courage when they try something new, and sometimes a moment of silence that leaves them feeling unsure. The foundation for this idea comes from the ProSci-ADKAR model: awareness, desire, knowledge, ability, and reinforcement. As a ProSci certified practitioner, I've worked with this model, and what I've done here is adapt it into what I call the moments that matter. Because when we put people at the center of adoption, these are the points that make or break the trust, the work, the advancement, the productivity, the innovation. And the truth is, the sequence actually matters. You can't build the ability if a person has decided not to engage. You can't reinforce something that never actually took root. And if we jump ahead, we almost always end up backtracking. So throughout the session, I'll keep coming back to three lenses. As a leader, how do you show up in those defining moments? As an individual, what choices do you make when uncertainty shows up? And as an organization, what signals are you sending that either reinforce trust or chip it away? Think of this as our journey map that we're going to walk through. First, we name and we frame the change, getting clear on what is shifting and what. Then we choose to change, that moment when people make that decision whether they're in or they're out. Next comes preparing and skilling for the change, giving people the knowledge and the tools that they need. After that, we support the change, making sure they can actually put it into practice. And finally, we sustain that change, reinforcing it until it becomes the new normal. Each moment builds on the one before it. And now we're going to start with the very first one, naming and framing the change. Because before anyone can move forward, they need to know what's changing and why it matters. Context is really king or queen. Going back to this reality check, AI isn't on its way, it's already here. Your people and your colleagues, and very likely yourself, are using it every day, whether the organization has declared that it has an AI strategy or not. There's ChatGPT drafting proposals, Notion summarizing the meeting notes, Microsoft Pilot rewriting your emails, Canva generating designs and copy with its magic write, Otter.ai capturing and transcribing also your meetings, and tools like Hagen creating realistic video avatars in minutes. That's why the question isn't, should we adopt AI? The adoption is already happening. The real question is, are we leading it intentionally, transparently, and inclusively? Or are we letting it happen in silence with uneven risks and uneven benefits? Now think about what people are carrying into work with them every day. They're seeing LinkedIn posts, news headlines, listening to podcasts, reading through dozens of Slack threads. Some of it is exciting, some of it is frightening. Most of it can be contradictory. That's the ambient noise of AI. And when leaders stay silent, that noise fills the vacuum. People start creating their own stories about what AI means for them. And those stories, whether they're rooted in fact or fear, are shaping engagement, energy, and trust. This first moment that matters isn't about having all the answers, it's about offering clarity, naming the shift, saying it out loud. This is real, and here is what it means for you. Because leaders that don't provide a narrative end up with people making up their own. And in times of disruption, stories shape everything. So let's frame this first moment that matters clearly. As leaders, ask yourself, what future are you inviting the people into? And does it feel real? As an individual, the question is, how does this affect me? What is shifting in my role? And how do I feel about it? And as organizations, are we telling a consistent story about what's changing, why it matters, and how it connects to people's daily work? Go ahead and open your toolkit to change moment 1, name and frame the change, and just take a moment to jot down one note. What story are you telling or failing to tell about AI in your work? This is the moment where people decide, do I want to lean in or do I want to step back? Fear is a normal reaction to something as transformative as AI. But if we don't address fear, it quickly turns into resistance. And resistance isn't about being difficult, it's about self-protection. As leaders, we can't manufacture motivation. People don't get inspired just because you tell them to. They engage when 3 things are true. When they find meaning, when they see how AI will help them do better work, not just faster, when they have permission to try, when they know it's safe to experiment, even if they're imperfect, and when they have guardrails, when they know what's encouraged, what's off limits, and where to help. This gives them security. This is what I call the motivation triangle. Desire isn't created by pressure, it's created by possibility. Now let's talk about the messages that kill motivation as a leader. If you come and you tell your organization, this is a survival move, we have no choice. Or if you tell people, IT is handling it, and you just announce that it's being rolled out and then just hand it off to another department. Or if you convey in different ways, I'm the leader, I don't need to know how it works, just make it happen. Even if you never said these specific words, people can hear it in your tone, in your actions, in your silence. And here's a reality, in AI, obviously is not just about the technology, it's about how people make decisions, how they collaborate, how they contribute value. This means that it just isn't IT's job, it's everybody's job. If we want people to step in, we can't lead with fear, and we can't delegate the learning away. We have to bring people into the process and be in it with them. Perosi tells us that lack of desire is a top 3 reason that change efforts fail, especially when at the executive level, sponsorship is unclear or messaging is inconsistent. So what does it look like when motivation is built the right way? Imagine you're leading a nonprofit, and instead of saying, we're adopting AI because everyone else is, you explain that AI will handle some of the routine reporting so that staff can spend more time with the community. Suddenly, it's not about replacement, it's about making space for deeper impact. Or picture a marketing team. Rather than framing AI as a threat to creativity, the leader describes it as a brainstorming partner. People begin to see it as a tool that can help spark new ideas, not take their jobs. That's what meaning looks like, connecting AI to purpose and possibility. There's many, many more examples in every other industry that you can find if you reflect for a few minutes. Then there's the permission to try. At LinkedIn, they do this with AI hours, dedicated time to experiment with no pressure. Microsoft does it with What If Fridays. The message is the same. It's safe to explore. It's safe to learn out loud with actions. And finally, guardrails. Spotify uses 3 simple buckets. Try freely, ask first, never use. Very helpful, right? Adobe hands its teams a 1-page guide with do's and don'ts. These signals don't limit people. They give them confidence. None of this has to be complicated. Sometimes the smallest signals are the most powerful. They say, this matters, you matter, and it is safe to explore. And that brings us to the second moment that matters, choosing to change. Here's the big insight. People don't resist AI itself. They resist feeling irrelevant, overwhelmed, left behind, or incapable. As leaders, our responsibility is to make the change feel personal, possible, and worth it. As individuals, the key is noticing the opportunity that you don't want to miss. And overall, as organizations, the choice is whether we inspire action or we demand compliance. Open your toolkit to change moment 2 and reflect on this question. What would make AI adoption feel worth it for you or for your team? Just one note, one sentence, because in this moment, it's not about the mandates, it's about the meaning. Now we come to the third moment that matters, preparing and scaling the change. And here's the paradox. Knowledge is critical. It fuels adoption, but in the world of AI, knowledge also has such a short shelf life. We know that the average half-life of AI skills, which is how long does it take for half of your knowledge to be obsolete, is now between 3 and 5 months. That means that if we train people once and stop, we're setting them up to fall behind. So the challenge isn't just teaching once. It's about creating an environment where learning is ongoing and it's adaptive to the needs and it's tied directly to real work. Let me give you an example of how quickly the ground shifts. Not long ago, people were focused on prompt engineering workshops. Today, those skills are considered basic. A year back, using an early chatbot felt like cutting-edge adoption. And now multimodal models that handle text, images, video, and sound all together are becoming the standard. Even image generation, which once felt revolutionary, is now being overtaken by video generation. This is what I mean by the learning decay paradox. What feels advanced today may be the new baseline within the next 3 to 6 months. And the lesson is simple. Again, don't just train for today. Train your teams for adaptability. Train yourself for adaptability so that we can all learn what's emerging. The lesson is simple. Don't just train for today. Train your teams and yourself for adaptability so that we can all learn what's emerging, not just what's on its way out. So the truth is, AI adoption does not come with a GPS. Waiting for a perfect step-by-step plan is like waiting for the fog to clear before you start walking. If you wait too long, you won't move at all. Instead, the role of leadership is to put up guideposts. A guidepost might be encouraging people to try one low-risk experiment. It might be inviting the team to reflect on what's worked and what didn't. It might be adjusting expectations as you go, instead of expecting perfection from day one. The fog that you feel, that your teams are feeling, is normal. The guideposts are what help people to continue moving without feeling utterly and completely lost. So how do we make this real? As leaders, the challenge is to model learning in motion, not waiting for certainty, but showing what it looks like to experiment out loud. As individuals, the opportunity is to choose one safe way to try AI in your daily work. If you haven't done so, drafting an email, a meeting summary, a simple task, anything that makes you feel confident where the stakes are low, but where learning commences. And as organizations, it's about giving people the time, the tools, and the examples they need to learn without fear. You can go to your workshop, the change moment number 3, and capture one thought. What is one safe you or your team could practice with AI? Remember that the goal isn't to get it perfect. The goal is to keep on moving. I like to use the analogy of driving a car with hydraulic steering. I don't know if anybody grew up with those, but I sure did. And when you were at a standstill and you were trying to move that steering wheel in one direction or the other, moving those tires was next to impossible. But once the car got in motion, it took no more than a hand to be able to shift the direction that you were heading. The point here is once you are moving, once you are in the flow of learning and in the experimentation, things start getting easier. The next thing comes quicker. The next thing has less fear. So the point is, don't expect perfection. Expect action. This is the 4th moment that matters. And it is all about supporting that change or that adoption. Here's what often gets overlooked. People rarely resist because they don't know what to do. They resist mostly because they don't feel ready to do it. Think about the different mindsets in your organization. Some people might be trailblazers, eager to dive in, pragmatics, cautious, wanting proof. Others might feel overwhelmed. They're interested, but don't know where to start. And of course, the healthy skeptics, waiting to see if this is just another fad that will go away. And yes, there are a few of those who might be disengaged, not convinced that this matters at all. Each group needs a different kind of support. Trailblazers need stretch projects. Pragmatics need evidence and stories. The overwhelmed need a buddy system and small wins. The skeptics need to see visible results from peers, and the disengaged, well, they need to see AI connected directly to their goals that they already care about. Support is about meeting people where they are, not where you wish that they were. So how do we put this into practice? As a leader, you might pair a hesitant team member with someone who's experimenting. You might add a simple question to check-ins like, what's one way that AI has helped you this week? Or you might share your own imperfect experiments to make it safe for them to try. As an individual, you could start by testing AI on low-risk tasks. Focus on one tool until you feel comfortable, then you can branch out. Or ask a peer to show you something they've tried. Peer learning is often the most trusted learning source. And at an organizational level, Support might look like providing AI templates for real tasks, hosting casual lunch and learns where people demo what is working and what has not worked, or simply making it clear where AI use is encouraged and where it's not ready yet. Support doesn't mean perfection, it means scaffolding, enough structure to make exploration feel possible, enough leeway to help creativity kick in and want people to engage with it. Now let's zoom out. Adoption is just the first step. What really matters is that integration, weaving AI into the way that the work gets done. One simple framework for this is something I call perform, partner, and pass, inspired by Accenture's reinvention continuum. Perform is what stays human, the judgment, the empathy, the creativity that only people can bring. Partner are tasks where AI can work alongside you, drafting, analyzing, supporting while you remain in the lead. And pass are tasks where AI can take on fully with your oversight. So this is a map to look at how you can see the universe of tasks that you do on a daily basis. And when you use this, the lens can shift the conversation from, are we using AI, to where does human value stay at the center and where does AI add the most? And then making choices based on that. Teams that use this approach don't just become more efficient, they also build trust because people know exactly where they fit in the picture. And if this exercise has been done individually, they know what are those tasks that can benefit them, their peers, the organization the most by doing them, partnering them with AI, or passing them along. We've just explored the perform, partner, and pass framework, a way to think about AI integration with intentionality. If you'd like a copy of this framework as a separate handout, something that you can share with your team or use in planning, we've made it available as well. Or you can just reach out to us at venus@venuspinheiro.com and we'll be happy to send it to you. It's a simple resource, but it can go a long way in sparking conversation and alignment across your team. This is the final moment that matters, and it's all about reinforcement. Here's the reality. Most change doesn't fail at the beginning. It fails in the messy middle, after the big announcement, and before the new behavior has become a habit. That's why reinforcement is everything. Think about it like a flywheel and not a firework. Fireworks are exciting for a moment, but they fade instantly. Flywheels gather momentum over time, making every push easier. Reinforcement looks like rewarding progress, highlighting real examples from your team, not just the idealized ones that ChatGPT perhaps can give you, and asking simple, consistent questions like, what's the one way that AI helped you this week? And here's another key. People trust what they can see. If you want new behaviors to stick, you have to show them working, not in theory, but in the everyday tasks that people already do. And that brings us to the heart of it all, trust. Research shows that trust in direct leaders is the #1 variable in whether AI pilots succeed. Your people don't remember your slide decks or your strategies. What they remember is how you respond to their ear. Do you listen? Do you make space for their questions? Do you model curiosity, even when you don't have all the answers? You can't outsource that. You can't delegate it. Trust is personal. And it's the difference between people resisting change or choosing to move with you. You can access your toolkit in Change Moment 5 and write down one thought for yourself. As a leader, what's one way you can recognize progress this month? As an individual, what small win has made you think, I can do this? And as an organization, how can you build reinforcement into the way that you meet, that you share, and that you plan? It doesn't need to be big. Even the smallest reinforcements, a thank you, a spotlight in a team meeting, can shift the culture from trying to sustain. We've covered a lot together, and I want to bring us back to the bigger picture. When people experience change, they don't move through neat project plans, timelines. They move through these moments, and those moments, awareness, desire, knowledge, ability, and reinforcement. Those are the real building blocks of adoption. Think about it. People first need a moment of clarity. Why is this happening? Why us? Why now? That's the awareness piece. Then they need a reason to lean in, that spark of motivation. That's desire. Knowledge gives them the language and understanding to try. Ability builds confidence when they put it into practice. And reinforcement, that's what makes the new way feel like the normal way. Organizations don't change, people do. And they do it one decision, one conversation, and one moment at a time. If you glance at your toolkit, you'll see those 5 moments laid out. Which one is calling you right now? Where are you? Where are you blocked? Maybe you know that your team needs clarity. Maybe it's confidence. Maybe it's simply a nudge to reinforce the progress that has already been made. Circle the one that feels more urgent. Choose your role as an individual, a leader, or for your whole organization, because that is your starting point. Here's what I want you to remember. Your role as a leader, as you already know, isn't to have every answer. In fact, in this space that is changing so rapidly, pretending to know it all is the quickest way to lose trust. Your role is to design the conditions where people can succeed. That looks like setting the direction, being clear about why this matters. It looks like putting up guardrails so people know what's safe to try. It's about modeling the language of curiosity, even saying, I don't know yet, but let's explore together. It's about reinforcing learning in small, visible ways, acknowledging when people try, spotlighting progress, and normalizing the idea that we're all learning as we go. AI will keep evolving, strategies will shift, but when people feel safe, when they feel trusted, they will keep moving with you. And that's the real marker of success in AI adoption. When you feel like you're in the fog, when the pace of change is outpacing your playbook, come back to this compass. Trust, curiosity, safety, and clarity. Lead with curiosity, even when you don't have all the answers. Build safe zones where people can experiment without fear. Reinforce what is working, however small, and share the fog with your team. Don't carry it alone, and don't hide it. AI will shift, tools will come, tools will go, but these principles, they'll carry you through every disruption. They're your compass. Before we close, I want to offer you one more tool. We walked through the 5 moments that matter today, and sometimes it helps to see them all summarized in one place. That's what the change map does. It's a one-page view of the journey we've covered: awareness, desire, knowledge, ability, and reinforcement, laid out in a way that you can take back and use with your teams. If you'd like a copy of the change map, you can request it by emailing me. It's a great way to keep today's ideas fresh and bring others into the conversation. And now we close. AI adoption isn't just a technology challenge. It is a real, big human challenge. And the way that you show up will shape how your people experience it. I want to thank you for leaning into the fog today with me, for choosing to pause and reflect on how you can guide your teams with clarity, courage, and trust. If you'd like to continue this conversation, I'd love to connect. You can contact me at venus@venuspinheiro.com. Before you go, take one last look at your toolkit. What stood out to you today? Maybe it's a phrase, an idea, or a question you want to carry forward. Write it down now, because this isn't leaving with a checklist, it's leaving with your compass. And remembering that none of us are doing this alone. We're all in this together. Have a wonderful day.